Welcome to another high value conversation. This morning, we're going to be talking about mental health. I'm really excited to have my good friend, psychotherapist Lauren Nichols Craig on this morning. I'm going to go ahead and invite her in. Really get into this. I want you to be able to feel free. Please ask any questions that you want to this morning. Just dive right into the chat. And here she is. Lauren, good
Hey,
morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
good morning. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Oh, I'm excited to have you on, psychotherapist Lauren Nichols Craig, just here to just share and help us get our mental health, together, giving us those good tips. Like, just appreciate you being here. So, what I like to do is I like to dive right into it, and then we'll come back around. We'll figure out like how you got into this field and this profession. But I want some gems from you right away for the audience. So, I want to ask you, in today's environment, why do you think it's so much easier and so much more receptive for people to be able to openly talk about mental health?
I think that everybody has been crying out for quite some time, and unfortunately, it was such a stigma. Um, Mental health for a long time had such a stigma, and I think we're all ready to rally against it and fight against it. Even the people with the most healthy mental health practices struggled during the pandemic.
Mm.
And so we're all ready. We're ready to share. We're ready to share our own knowledge. We're ready to move and do differently than generations before us. And I'm excited. Things are
I,
shifting.
you're right, and I think the support, it even allows us to have this conversation today because this is something that I think used to be very private and sadly to say kind of embarrassing. But we've seen with examples like Simone Biles in the
Yeah.
Olympics, and I can't remember the tennis player's name, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name, but I remember that she even stopped one of her matches. She was doing really good. I like her too because she likes Kobe, but she stopped to take some time for her mental health. And I even see a basketball player retire because he just felt like he couldn't deal with the mental health issues. But all of those people, for the most part, were respected. Now they still have a little some carryover with people being like, "Well, we deserve a good show, and you got to be tough." But
Hmm.
um, how do you, what do you feel about that?
I mean, I think that people's mental health needs to be priority. Jobs come and go, relationships kind of weave in and out of our lives, but our mental health and how we deal with things on a daily basis is so important. So it's not really surprising that some of these really incredible athletes and actors and actresses, I mean, they're a great example of what we can do as, normal people.
Yeah,
If they're willing to give up some of their, sacrifice those things for their mental health, then, it's just really empowering.
I think something that's been cool, like on a level that we're able to experience, is that people have started taking mental health days. I remember those were a thing.
Yeah, I love them. That's great. I think it's huge. I wish that more companies offered those opportunities, but I do think that things are inching there slowly.
Yeah. So let's see. How did you get into this profession?
Oh gosh, it's been a kind of a long time coming, but I think that initially the reason that it kept coming up, and mental health has always been a part of my life, but not until I was in my late 20s did I decide to go back and actually pursue this. I wanted to help people the way I was helped through various times in my life, and I wanted to be a part of the person that was breaking the stigma
Mm.
and making it not a taboo, because it's just conversation. Mental health, between like when you find a therapist and when you find people that support your mental health, it's a conversation, and I think that's what needs to really be spread.
I think that's so cool, like that you that just kept drawing you in and kind of bringing you closer to what was kind of already inside. And I want to tell you, you were helping people with their mental abilities before you even knew it. I want to say about 10 years ago we first met, and you
Yeah.
were actually my first client
Yeah.
for financial services and personal budgeting. And I remember I was still working for the Department of Defense, but I had the belief in myself that this was something I can do. and you were the first person to pay me to be able to work with them.
That's that's wild.
So
But you know, it's come full circle. And now look, here we are.
here we are. And so I
Proud of
just want
you.
to thank you and give you, man, I'm proud of you and I'm happy that you're here. I love watching your growth and seeing your growth. So I want to ask you this. People who are still kind of quietly struggling with the mental health, being able to come forward, what do you think is, something helpful to help people you know, let go of that fear of being judged and being able to say, I think I need to see somebody, or I just want better mental health just in
Yeah.
general, like kind of almost just going to the gym, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to those people, we've all been there. Every single one of us, in one way or another. You're not alone. It feels like it, but you're not, I promise. So reaching out to somebody, there's so many resources, the 988 number, getting on Psychology Today, trying to find someone, a therapist. You can search by your zip code. You can search by your gender, your insurance, non-binary. It's really a really cool resource if you're wanting to go the therapist route. But otherwise, I think just having conversations with those around you that love you and care about you is a good start as well. Just letting them know, like, I'm kind of struggling today. Like, I don't feel myself, or the last few weeks I haven't felt like myself. I'm thinking about reaching out to somebody. What do you think? Just starting a conversation.
I think you said something so interesting just now. I didn't know that there were so many ways for you to be able to find someone. I mean, I know you have Google and stuff, but can you kind of go over that again? Like, people are able to really have a better sense of searching for assistance. Can you kind of just
Yeah.
reiterate that?
So there are a lot of resources depending on what your insurance looks like, if you're wanting to pay out of pocket. But psychologytoday.com is a huge resource. You can find online therapists, in-person therapists. You can search down to your zip code, again, your insurance. You can search by what type of therapy you're looking for, and you can call somebody right then and there. It's a really great resource for a lot of people, and that's what I use. I have a network of therapists, but also I like to expand my network and reach out to other therapists, and so I use that resource often.
Do you do like telehealth and stuff? Can people reach out to you?
Yes, and online has changed the way we do therapy, obviously. Like, people that are insanely busy, people that have kiddos, and or are afraid to get out of the house. Maybe you're too anxious to see somebody in person. Online is a great option for a lot of different people.
So I kind of want to go back to what you said about family. I thought that was very interesting, being able to kind of first start maybe by saying someone that you trust or telling someone you trust in your family what's going on. So how do you think someone can speak to a family member without feeling judged or feeling scared? What are some tips about just being able to speak to a family member safely?
I think that having your thoughts kind of written out sometimes can help. It really is going to depend on the person. Um, it's going to be overwhelming and scary at first, but reaching out to somebody that you love and trust is going to be a a good way to just start that. Like, I know I keep saying this, but that conversation of just like you and I are doing right now. It's a conversation, and that's really, again, what therapy is. It's starting talking about it, because once we start talking about it, we're able to acknowledge it. We're able to acknowledge there is something that we need to do a little bit differently, something that we need to fix. So it's just bringing things to light, bringing them, acknowledging the I'm anxious, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I hate my job, I'm having all of these thoughts, and I just want to talk to somebody about it. So unfortunately, we can't take the fear or the judgment away, but what we can do is, you know, trudge through it.
No,
So
so I like to dive into that a little bit because I've, talked to people, especially in business or people that I help, like my clients and stuff, and they have, fear, anxiety, judgment, self-doubt, like these things. And I kind of want to ask you first, how do they recognize it? Then I want to kind of get into kind of relieving those things. So how could someone recognize without feeling like they're being soft or, something's wrong with them, that they're experiencing a need for mental health? What are some signs that you have that say, I'm going to ask for help?
I think some big ones are burnout, just feeling constantly tired, no matter how much sleep you get. That is a sign of burnout
Yeah.
in one way or another. Maybe it's coming from one or multiple arenas in your life. Um, it is common. And I think that that's one of the first things that people really start to see, just the pulling away in relationships too. Your best friend, maybe you're not interested in seeing them anymore. It's just kind of you're becoming a recluse even. Those are some telltale signs of some personality changes. And maybe you're a really outgoing person, or maybe you're kind of a quiet person, but you're still noticing that there's some changes. You're not doing the things that you wanted to do previously. You don't want to play your video game, or you don't want to read your books. Those are like some telltale signs that some things are going on, and it's maybe time to start looking into your mental health.
Mm. Wow. That self-reflection, that kind of those indicators are important, because I think in the past, we were taught to kind of, like you said, just plow through those or bury them inside and hold them in, and no one else cares. And I remember even in movies, if you go back in the 90s, a, a, a a joke consistently was that you had to go see a shrink,
Mm-hmm.
or do you need to go see a shrink? So it was really a stigma on being able to express yourself. And I'm just so happy that the culture is changing and that you're here to be able to even shine more light on it. So let me ask you this. How can we handle stress, remove anxiety, and move towards having a balanced life?
Well, Mark, that is a loaded question. Honestly, it's going to look so different for each individual. And I think that's why therapy is so important, because your therapist will help you cater and create a plan specifically for you. Um, some people choose drawing or meditating or working out or going on a walk, and all are great options. Your therapist is just going to urge you not to distract yourself with other
Yeah.
things, because it's important to be aware of those things. Also, creating boundaries is a good option for not everyone, but pretty much everyone. Say your family is having a cookout on Saturday and it's your only day off. Show up late, leave early, or just say no. Those are some hard things to do, but your mental health and your well-being overall is what's important. Maybe you just need a mental health day.
Can we dive into that for a second? Because I remember when I first started hearing boundaries, because I grew up in the time where that wasn't a word, that I even struggled at first to understand what the concept of that was. So can you like dive more a little into boundary creation or what boundaries are, or please?
Yeah, so that again looks different to everyone. I hate to keep saying that, but it
No,
is.
please say it. It's just true.
Yeah, it reigns true. Just um, it does look different to everyone. So boundaries look like, maybe you're, um, like I just said, maybe you have one day off. That's an option for you to be able to take some time for yourself, reset, recharge, move your body. Um, maybe meditate, draw. Boundaries look like, um, they look like creating space for yourself.
Mm,
It's saying no or changing the way a relationship looks
mm.
because that person is just, you find yourself really exhausted after you hang out with someone. And that's okay, but maybe you just don't have the mental capacity to be around that individual as
Mm,
much.
mm.
So it's a lot of taking time and really getting into those feelings and, taking an assessment of your body, like, oh, I am tired after hanging out with Sally. Like, oh my gosh, you know. So that's just something to really be aware of. And Megan knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, thank you, because now I'm kind of getting a better grasp. It's kind of like a guilt-free no, a polite guilt-free no, that you almost don't even have to explain, right? Like this
Mhm.
is my
Yeah.
my boundary.
Yeah, learning how to say no is a whole set of skills that everybody needs to know how to do. You know, because it is hard. It is hard to say no. You don't want to disappoint people. That's just our natural way of, or most people don't want to disappoint the people that they love and
Mm,
care about.
for sure.
Um,
For sure.
but it's got to be done sometimes.
So let me ask you this. I think a lot of people look for, happiness or seeking well-being, but don't really know how to find it.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of, when I talk to people that I'm working with and stuff, I kind of use a tactic that I call deliberate self-improvement. Um, Deciding who you want to be. I think a lot of times in life, we're trying to figure out who we're supposed to be, or
Mm.
what we're supposed to be doing, or who we're supposed to act like, and things like that. And I try to help people decide who they want to be and then create the life that comes from those activities. Do you think that self improvement or deliberate self improvement is a beneficial tool for improving your mental health?
Absolutely. I think that that helps you decide where you want to go. Obviously, the goals and the journey change, but it helps you better see what you're working toward. Um, and sometimes that means, again, back to that saying no, like, does this help my journey? Does this help my goal? Obviously, we're here to serve others as well. It's not a just a self-seeking situation here with therapy. It's just learning how to balance the dialectics of, yes, I can have this, but also I can have
Right.
this. I can be anxious, but I can also go to the grocery store. I can be anxious, but I can go to therapy. They're not, they're not mutually exclusive things. They can be, they can coexist.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you, because Um, I've seen the benefits of it personally, but I've also seen a lot of it in, the people that I help, the students that I help, the young people that I help. That's what my book is all about, really, even though it's financial education, it's really about deliberate self-improvement. I call it DSI. And I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this. How do you feel about people's ability to get kind of unstuck when it comes to deliberate self-improvement, like knowing what you should do or having a feeling of what you want to do, but the depression, the stress, the anxiety preventing that action? How do we kind of push through that inertia? What some people are like, what is my motivation? How do we get through the mental health barriers that are preventing us from the life we want to live?
Whew. I think that reaching out to someone is a really great way to start. Reaching out to a therapist, because they're going to be able to help you find the route that works best specifically for you. You have a goal in mind, and how can we achieve said goal? How can we um, make sure that our actions are working towards a goal? It's so easy to get into that rut, to get um, into the depression, especially with, we just came out of a pandemic. So a lot of us lost 2 years of our lives. Um, I think about that sometimes when I work with adolescents and kiddos. I'm like, oh my goodness, you are even though you're 17, you're actually 15.
Yeah,
And so I don't want anyone to discredit that, and or to discredit like what we've actually been through the last couple of years. That pull it up, pull them up by your bootstraps, like that only works for so long. So really just taking, knowing that it's okay. It's okay. You heard it from a therapist. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be all of those things. It's what you do with those things that matters. And it's okay to reach out to
Oh,
somebody.
I love that you said that. I think people really needed that permission to be, sad without feeling sad about it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh gosh, yes.
All right, so let me ask you this. Do you think some type of psychology or brain education as a person is also beneficial to you? Like reading some books on your own brain, on your mind, on psychology, even though you might go see a therapist too, do you think some type of just self-education of understanding the brain that you actually have every day that controls a lot of your movements and things like that, is it beneficial to do some research yourself and learn about your brain on your own?
Yeah, and depending on what therapist you see, which a lot of them will provide some education on the brain. Um, it is important for you to do your own research and figure out what you believe and what kind of modalities you think would work best for you, because somebody who's very hands-on is not going to learn from the same as someone, who reads well and can read a book and pick up a book. So I think that really depends again on the person. But the overarching education is an absolute yes. I think people do need to pick up a book, or there's now, I'm not saying that TikTok therapy is all knowing, but sometimes you're like, oh wow, I really relate to that.
Nice.
And you're educating yourself.
I love it. I thank you because that's kind of what I did, right? I remember back when I was working with the Department of Defense and I started to do all this real estate and business stuff. I was like, whoa, I need to get smarter. But
Yeah.
also, my brain was a topic as well, right? It sounds really funny, but a lot of times we don't realize that we have a brain and how much it does. And once I got to read and learn more about the brain that I was using 24/7, it really helped my functionality. It really helped me to understand myself better, and accomplish more things. So um, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just
Knowledge
wanted to
is
actually,
power.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and knowledge about our knowledge. Huh?
Hmm.
So I have a lot of young athletes and kids and young adults that I mentor and that watch this show and watch this channel. So I want to ask, kind of for them, right? What is a healthy way for a young person to express that they're having mental health issues? Because they might be scared of getting teased. They might be scared of their parents being dismissive. They just might still feel like I don't have anyone to talk to.
Hmm.
How does, a young struggling athlete or a young person find the courage or find a tool or a way to be able to say, me too. I'm young, but I want some too. Especially like you said, coming out of COVID. Like, how do they
Yeah.
say that?
Um, I think that an one way is to start talking to your friends, because they're likely going through the same thing. Just
Mm,
starting a conversation. It can be you. It's okay for it to be you to start the conversation. And if it's not your friends, maybe it's an adult you trust, um, somebody like Mark, somebody like a school counselor, uh, a mentor, someone at your church, someone that you feel safe around, just for a little bit of insight, a little bit of information, because but you could usually can point you in the right direction. But just know, if you are that person, if you are a young individual, or even if you're, 100 years old, it's really important to just start talking about it, and knowing that your feelings and your emotions um, are valid.
mm. That's so important. I think sometimes, we learned in business when it comes to like marketing and sales and stuff like that. It always says that everyone's listening to what's in it for me, what's in it for me. And I think that's just sometimes such a bleak way to look at how the world is going on,
Yeah.
because I know we are most of the time preoccupied with ourselves, but people do really care about you. People really do want to hear and are interested in what's going on with you. And we live in such a me culture now, kind of with social media and posting and everything like that. And these companies making us create content and keeping us constantly engaged, it does seem like maybe you're surrounded by selfishness, but you're not. You can really talk to somebody or speak up. And I'm glad that you're here to kind of affirm that and kind of give them that boost, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, to piggyback on what you're saying, that I think it's important for people to, that's another boundary that people can create, is maybe not so much social media. I think it's really, it's an amazing tool for networking and businesses, but it's also can be very consuming and overwhelming. And it's easy to compare yourself to somebody on social media. And man, if comparison is the thief of joy, it
Say it
will,
again.
I, so if just remember that this is social media. This is a curated look into someone's life. This is a practiced script, and just knowing that this is not real life. Get out there, have conversations, love on people, and love on yourself.
I love it. I always tell like my clients, like you're in competition, but that doesn't mean you have to compete, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So like the nature of business is, yeah, we all have to make sales or we all have to, sell our services. But I try to explain to them that the way I always look at it is, everything isn't for everybody. So you don't need everyone to like what you're doing. I tell them my business, I kind of look at it like a college professor, right? We're in the same university, but all of us teach the same topic. I might be in the math department, or you might be in the English department, right? There are 4 or 5 of us, and we can't teach all the students, but that doesn't mean we have to be in competition.
Right, right.
You
There's
know?
enough people around, that's like the therapy community. There's a lot of therapists, but there are enough people that need and are seeking this kind of information that we don't have to be in competition with each other. It's important to remember that there's enough for everyone.
Agreed. And I think if people can use social media kind of more for self-expression than competition, then that changes kind of like the need to compare, right? I'm just being myself, and this is a place where, I can express myself and my creativity using these tools.
Yeah.
Um, let's wrap up by asking you this. Is there something that we can do daily to enhance our like overall well-being and make us feel better, in those times?
Um, I'm gonna say this one more time. It depends on the person. But I would kind of reiterate the boundary situation. I would also say moving your body. Um, that doesn't mean you need to be running a marathon or start a strenuous exercise plan. That could literally be taking a walk around the block.
Yeah.
Just moving your body is scientifically proven to help.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in a rut, you get unstuck by moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so just moving your body, stretching, dancing, walking, Taebo, whatever. For our young ones, they will not remember that.
Nah, they won't remember those commercials. But you know what? That movement will help them, though.
Yeah. Anything that can get your body up. And if you're unable to move, just getting outside and sitting, listening to the birds, watching the squirrels, just getting outside and just taking that actual move with your body.
I really agree with you on that because I remember when I first started getting back into working out, a technique that I used was I realized that I needed to work on the habit of consistency before I worked on the habit of working out. And I think sometimes people start with the workout, like big old hard workout. I'm gonna try and keep this workout going for 30. What I used to do was I used to just go to the gym and leave. I did for like a week. I just drove there, did like one thing, and I came home.
That's okay.
You
got there.
That's what I'm saying. And then after about 4 or 5 days, I had the habit of going. Then once I had the habit of going, then I was able to, be more consistent on my workout. And the same thing now, people are always like, how do you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning? It's like, I used to just wake up, do something, and go back to sleep. That's how I got that habit of waking up at that time. Then I started going to the gym with it, to make it more of my workout time and get into that routine.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this one last thing. When it comes to happiness. Do you think that we're kind of seeking the wrong thing with that? Because I was reading this book behind me this morning, The Owner's Manual to the Brain. They were talking about happiness versus goal striving well-being.
Mm.
And the idea was that we kind of look at happiness as this destination that we're going to arrive at versus the true mental, psychological data that says when we're goal striving and moving towards a goal, we're actually happy on the journey because we're goal striving beings. I want to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that we so much get caught up, even when we're in therapy for years and years, we get caught up in that, well, I'm having a bad day and yesterday was a good day, and so I don't really understand. Like, that's human nature, and it's the beauty of the journey, the day to day, sometimes monotony, sometimes we don't get a good night's sleep, and so we're feeling a little grouchy, and we didn't eat breakfast, we have to wait till lunch, and it's those things that kind of add up and have us rethinking, like, well, what is this? What is happiness? What is life? And so I think that that book really nails it on the head. It's like we're striving, and if we can be present and be happy in even these annoying, monotonous moments, then we're better off, and we're honestly like helping others too.
Definitely.
We're helping be a light um, in some, what have been some really dark times for a lot of people.
Definitely. Well, I just thank you so much for taking the time this morning to be here and share with me. I really am so grateful for you taking the time. Like, you really shared some great insights. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. You can find me on social media. You can reach out to Mark to get my information, or find me on that Psychology Today. You can type in Lauren Craig, and if I can't help you, I will get you in touch with someone who can. That's what this is about. That's what we're here for. If you are considering reaching out, I look forward to speaking to you, and you are brave. So.
Take that first step, like you said.
Right.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you, Mark. Bye.